Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for.
All right, everybody, I'm back. Good to be back. So tell you what, you can hear it in the voice. Voice ain't doing very well. Long night on the Riverwalk last night. Yeah, face is a little bit puffy. Went to bed late. The good news is about having insomnia when you're traveling. You get to wake up and do a Portal recap, and we have a lot to get to today. Okay, if you listen to Friday's Aaron Torres pod, we really kind of tried to focus on the games. We were at the arena. We're having a good time, whatever. And I only bring it up because the portal has been insane. We talked a little bit about Henry Visar on Friday's show, but we're going to get to everything that has happened. Yaxel Lendeborg is officially off the board. Kentucky gets their big point guard. Alabama adds a guy. Let's go for as long as we can, as much voice as I have. And by the way, there will be a full recap of the games tonight from the arena on the Aaron Torres pod and Aaron Torres pod YouTube channel. All right, let's dive in. Big one. I mean, you talk about big piece of news to wake up to on Saturday morning. It was both conversely the news that Yaxel Lendeborg was off the board going to Michigan, and then about 7 different fan bases telling me what's wrong with my coaching staff, why can't we land anybody, blah, 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 blah. So let's go ahead and dive in. So Yaxel Lendeborg, listen, we talked about him on, earlier in the week. I think it was Monday he officially entered the portal. And first of all, it shows you how quick this stuff is moving with the house settlement date coming April 9th. But goes into the portal Monday, and I said, this might be the best player that enters the portal all portal season long, okay? He is a guy that I think a lot of people thought was going to enter the portal last year. He is a guy that I know for a fact multiple staffs, they were basically, that meme, I think it's Anthony Anderson in a yellow jacket behind a tree waiting for something to happen. That it was every staff in America waiting for Yaxel Lendeborg to hit the portal. And he officially did on Monday, and this thing gets done quickly. First of all, in terms of the game, just an unbelievable player. 6'9", as I said, 17 points, 11 boards, 4 assists, 36% three-point shooting on the season. Also about 2 steals and 2 blocks per game. So like I said, every school in America was waiting for this kid to get into the portal. He officially does earlier in the week. And the big winner, as I just told you, is Michigan. Listen, let's call it what it is here. By the way, my voice is just unreal right now. But let's call it what it is. Dusty May, I was not familiar with you. Dusty May's a gangster, dude. Don't let that calm, cerebral, aw shucks, gee whiz, I'm just happy to be here. No, you're a dog, Dusty May. You're a dog. How about Dusty May and what he is doing? Year 1 at Michigan. First of all, goes to a Final Four at Florida Atlantic. We probably shouldn't forget about that. Year 1 at Michigan, I thought put together a top 20 roster in the preseason. I was a little bit higher on them coming into the season than most. But you watch the season, really good. Big Ten tournament champs, make the Sweet 16. But you sit there and say, okay, you brought Vlad Golden with you. How are you going to handle things? What happens next? Danny Wolf is probably going to test or leave for the NBA draft waters. Yeah, Dusty May is going to be just fine. Elliot Cadeau, committed at point guard. You may like him, you may not. Listen, Elliot Cadeau has his limitations. He's a really good college point guard. What do you average? 6 assists per game in the ACC this year? It's not like Elliot Cadeau isn't capable. He's going to be a really good player. He just might not be the 5-star, top 10 prospect that he was, signed up to be. Morez Johnson, another guy, goes in the portal. Everybody wants him. Arkansas wants him. I can't remember. Whatever. I only bring it up. Morez is kind of that post spot. He'll probably replace Vlad. Again, Yaxel Lendeborg in that 4 spot to listen. I don't know if Lendeborg's coming back, and we're going to discuss that in a minute. But if you get, oh my goodness, hello, like that dude averaged 18 and 11. And listen, I'm not X's and O's scheme guy. I just know is that Dusty May is going to get the best version of you out of you. It's interesting. I even go back to Danny Wolf last year. Like Danny Wolf in the portal, I liked him, but I didn't see what Michigan saw and a guy that ended up averaging 14 points, 9 rebounds on 34% three-point shooting this year. So I just bring it up because Dusty May saw more in him than I personally did. And I see a lot in Yaxel Lendeborg. And now you're going to play him at that kind of stretch 5 spot, playmaking 5 spot. You could take guys off the dribble, but you can shoot, but you can pass, but you can play make. He could be I'm talking about he could be a first team All-American next year at Michigan in spot. Now, the counter to that, the dark side of the portal for the Yaxel Lendeborg perspective is he is very much testing the NBA draft waters. I thought his comments with Gavoni were interesting. He committed through Jonathan Gavoni of ESPN, where, first of all, just remember, Gavoni is an ESPN draft analyst, so the draft thing is real. But I thought the comments from Gavoni were interesting. He basically said, look, I'm looking for a guaranteed contract. Guaranteed contracts come in a lot of shapes, a lot of sizes, a lot of forms. And I think the thing that is worth noting about Lendeborg is that he is a little bit older. He's a guy that came to basketball late, which, again, I think it's just a fascinating element of his development, is that, I think he's just scratching the surface of his potential. I actually think coming back, playing for Dusty May next year, would put him in a better position to be drafted, but he's also going to be 23 this year. And so if he just feels like I need to get to the NBA and figure things out there, then it's hard to blame you. And so to me, I think it's an interesting development is that if you're Michigan or if you're anybody, BYU wanted him, Arkansas wanted him, Kentucky wanted him, whatever. So I'm not saying you don't take him. All I'm saying is, like, there's a chance that you get that call May 14th. Hey, I'm staying in the draft. And there's just nothing you can really do about it. So Yaxel Lendeborg is off the board. If he comes back to Michigan, I think we're talking, I haven't gone through everything, but I don't think it's hyperbole to say potential Big Ten preseason player of the year, Big Ten potential first team All Big Ten, Big Ten potential first team All-American. Also, I am working on my way too early top 25. How am I not going to have Michigan in the top 25? They're returning a couple key players off last year's team, plus Yaxel Lendeborg for now, plus Merez Johnson Jr. for now. It's Elliot Cadeau. That's a top 5 team. That's a top 10 right now on paper. Now, things could change. That's a really good team. Let's keep it going with the portal. One of the fan bases that certainly was frustrated that they did not land Yaxel Lendeborg was Kentucky. By the way, I did a video earlier in the week as part of our Thursday show, our Wednesday show, just about Mark Pope had kind of struggled to land some guys. A little bit polarizing, to say the least. Generally, I don't know. Yeah, listen, fans, you have every right to say whatever you feel in the comments, whatever. There were a lot of fans that were not happy with what I said about Mark Pope being unable to land guys. There were a lot of fans that said, you know what, Torres, you're onto something. But I bring it up because on Saturday, Kentucky does get its second commitment of the portal cycle. By the way, should always mention we're recording here about noon Eastern time. I want to say a little before noon. And so I just bring it up because stuff is always subject to change. More guys may come off the board, but Mark Pope did grab a guy that he absolutely needed in Jaland Lowe from Pitt. Okay. So listen, this was a guy that was a little bit, Pitt was just kind of an interesting team. Like, they were an early bubble team, but then really kind of fell apart in ACC play. And so they were never really like on anybody's radar. This is a really good point guard. Listen, not a great 3-point shooter, which, obviously in Pope's system, that could be an issue. But you give this guy the ball and you put other 3-point shooters around him. That could be a freaking problem for the rest of the SEC. 17 points per game, 4 rebounds, 5.5 assists per game. Now, again, 26% 3-point shooter. That's not great. But you don't need all 5 guys to be able to shoot, especially when you have Jaland Lowe, a guy that can get to the rim, that can finish at the rim, that can attack at the rim. I really like him. If you can average 17 and 5.5 in the ACC in a power conference, I don't care if you're not on a great team, you are a dude that can play. And so Kentucky gets this guy. First of all, just needed a guy. Obviously with some of the activity of the offseason with Kirk Creason not coming back, with 7, 8 seniors, you knew that you were going to need some pieces, but it doesn't change the fact that you kind of just needed somebody to just get some momentum as we're kind of in this pseudo dead period and a lot of people are getting restless. And I think this is the guy. And you look at him, and I go back to last offseason with Kentucky. Mark Pope starts adding pieces, and now no one individual one is like, oh my God, that is the portal move of the offseason, or that is the 5-star of the offseason. But then you look up and it's like, oh, you have Lamont Butler and Otega Owe and Jackson Robinson and Kobe Brea, it's like I just look at it from that perspective of, Jaland Lowe is a very good player. Again, 17 points, 5.5 assists per game in the ACC. But think about what the possibilities are around him. Otega Owe, if he comes back right now, Kentucky fans maybe a better insight than I do. I expect him back. I don't think he's a first-round pick. And if he's not a first-round pick, come back, develop at Kentucky, make a lot of money in college. By the way, yes, a million Kentucky fans have asked me about people tampering with Otega Owe. I have heard stories. I don't know what's true. I don't know what's not. But I just bring it up because you look at Kentucky now, Otega Owe and Jaland Lowe are a hell of a backcourt, okay? Super athletic. Both are attacking. Jaland Lowe's not quite the vertical player that Otega Owe is, but he's a great finisher around the rim. And you look at the other pieces around them. Jasper Johnson is going to be a really good college basketball player next year. Aiden Lewis can now go to that backup point guard spot, and he isn't expected to run a team as a true freshman in college basketball. Malachi Moreno is going to be really good. Brandon Garrison, I think, has a chance to be a very good player next year. Colin Chandler came on late. Trent Noah came on late. So I just bring it up because, again, the pieces are starting to come together. And I still think you need one or two more big pieces in the portal. Cam Williams, who committed from Tulane, I didn't even mention. You still need one or two more big pieces in the portal, but I just bring it up because, I understand why Kentucky, we talked about it on the Wednesday show. Kentucky fans got mad at me for the title of the video, but what I said in the video was, you're going to miss on guys. And the other thing with the portal, it all moves so fast. I just did a panel on Friday. It was with Joe Tipton and Adam Finkelstein. And we were talking about the recruiting process and how crazy it is and how a kid I may be committed at this time. And then an hour later, you're going somewhere else. I mean, I deal with it all the time. I mean, how many times have I just been wrong this portal cycle? Oh, Ryan Conwell, it's trending towards Indiana. Boom, he commits to Louisville. This guy's trending here. Oh, boom, he commits there. And so with Kentucky, I understand the frustration, but you're really not that far away from, again, having a very good and very interesting team. I think now part of the process is retention. Biggest recruit Kentucky has left is Otega Owe. Go get that guy, get that figured out. You should be pretty good. Plus the three freshmen. I like how Colin Chandler developed. I liked how Trent Noah developed. Brandon Garrison, Travis Perry, on and on. I actually do like this team. A couple other quick portal notes from the weekend. We did a Henry Visar reaction, so I won't do one here. You can find that in the full episode of the pod, which was back on Friday afternoon. Not a ton other ones. Kadir Copeland hit the portal a few days ago. He, of course, played for Will Wade at McNeese State. Excuse me. He will now be the second player to follow Will Wade to NC State. Excuse me. By the way, Will Wade is the star of the Final Four right now. He the same panel that I spoke on. He spoke on it later. I had to leave by that point, but apparently he said on the panel, it was an NIL panel. He said, yeah, love NIL. He's like, I'm the only one that could have run an NIL panel 5 years ago. And so he got the whole audience cracking up. But like I said, Kadir Copeland commits to NC State. The numbers don't blow you away. 9 points, 3.5 rebounds, 4.5 assists. But remember, this is a kid that started his career at Syracuse. Allen Breed, the first commitment, started his career at Providence. So two I-major guys that went to McNeese that are now bouncing back up. Will Wade still got a few tricks up his sleeve. So just get ready. But he's a big one. Taylor Bull Bowen was another one that I think Kentucky fans thought they were in good shape with. He ends up committing to Bama. Listen, he's very athletic. Do I think a very athletic 6'10" wing can thrive playing under Nate Oates? Yeah, I think they can. I didn't think he was a priority recruit for anybody. I think he's more, to me, like I said, 6'10", 195. And I think what stands out is he's more of a developmental prospect. Leonard Hamilton, when he was the head coach at Florida State, was really good at developing those guys over a 2, 3, 4-year period into tangible NBA players by the time they got out. And I bring it up because you look at Taylor Bull Bowen, 8 points, 5 rebounds. The big thing, 41% 3-point shooting from three. That's a player that Nate Oates can mold, and a lump of what do they say? So looks like, by the way, my mic is going out. Okay. We'll wrap, I think, there. Those are the big ones. Xavier Booker goes to UCLA. I think my buddy Jason Shear said it best. Xavier Booker was a guy that was was a former 5-star, went to Michigan State. It didn't really click there. 6'11", goes to UCLA. I don't really see the fit there either. You didn't really thrive at Michigan State. UCLA is Michigan State with palm trees. I mean, it's just the same style of play, the same coaching style. I don't really get it, but they needed a big man. Good for him. I think that's really it. We'll obviously do more. By the way, we'll have the full episode of the Aaron Torres pod after the Final Four games tonight. And yeah, I think that's it. That's it. By the way, you see it at the bottom of the screen. CBB transfers on Twitter, CBB transfers on Instagram. Make sure you're following.